With the release of new Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, we can see the quality in each game improve over time. Modern fan games aren't just using the old Five Nights at Freddy's formula anymore. These fan games are actually using their own gimmicks and tweaks to make their own game stand out from the rest. But that isn't really what we're talking about today. Today, I want to talk about classic Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, the ones we've all either played or heard about. I'm going to be looking at 3 of them today. The best place to start is with a game that I'm sure everyone watching has at least heard about, Five Nights at Candy's. For the purpose of this video, I'll be looking at the original version, not the remastered version. Five Nights at Candy's is a Fnaf fan game released in 2015 by Emil Mako. Five Nights at Candy's is probably the most well-known Fnaf fan game of all time. The game is so well-known that the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon, commented on the teaser trailer of the game. Not only that, but there are thousands of gameplay videos on YouTube of this game. This is without a doubt one of the most popular Fnaf fan games. It's also considered a classic, since it's almost 8 years old now. But does it still hold up? After all this time, can it compare to other modern Fnaf games? Or are we just blinded by nostalgia? Well, that's what I want to find out. When I loaded up Five Nights at Candy's, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia. I knew rating this game fairly was going to be difficult, but when I started playing, all that fear washed away. This game suffers from old Fnaf repetition. It's really slow. Since it's one of the original Fnaf fan games, it suffered with super slow gameplay in the first few nights, but when you reach night 4, the problem is mostly fixed. Another problem this game faces is actual designs to the animatronics. In FNAF 2, the toy animatronics had a ton of backlash for their cute designs. They weren't as scary or as unsettling as the original FNAF characters. The same issue is present in this game too. Although, there are other animatronics like Old Candy and the Rat that actually look pretty spooky, but those 2 animatronics don't really save the game. Gameplay-wise, as I stated before, the game is like the original FNAF. When FNAF fan games were being produced, it was common to just see a game like this. Five Nights at Candy shakes this up by adding a window right in front of you. The window is minor though, only one animatronic enters through it. Other than gameplay, this game has little cutscenes after every night. They remind me of the cutscenes in FNAF 2. Their only purpose is to give a little bit of lore, but it's a nice addition to the game. But, does the game still hold up? I'm gonna say no on this one. The original creator of the game made a remastered version of this game, so if you really want to experience the first game, play the remaster. The remaster gives a better visual experience and adds a few new things as well. But with that, let's move on to the next game. The next game we'll be talking about is One Night at Flumpty's. For the sake of this video, I'll be talking about the original version of this game, not the updated version with the release of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. One Night at Flumpty's was released on January 28th, 2015 by Jonachrome. It is one of the fan games I actually played before making this video, and it's definitely one of the best fan games I've seen. Its uniqueness stands out from other fan games. It has a very appealing art style and just looks great overall. The office is full of cool details and each cam looks cool too. All the characters are unique and recognizable, my favorite being Birthday Boy Blam. The gameplay in this game is also very good. Since One Night at Flumpty's is only one night, the gameplay doesn't suffer from repetition. Also, for being a joke game, the game is actually very fun. Each character is unique with the way they try to kill you. I'll go over them all very quickly. Flumpty is actually really unique. He teleports throughout the entire map and doesn't follow a set path. The reason for this is because Jonachrome wanted Flumpty to be as random as possible. So sometimes you'll see him in a hallway, but he can just randomly appear at your door whenever the hell he wants. Birthday Boy Blam follows a set path to your office. He works kinda like Bonnie and Chica from the original Five Nights at Freddy's. Redmond follows a set path. However, whenever he's on a specific cam, the cam shows a red static screen instead. This is to differ from Birthday Boy Blam. Grunkfist the Clown is also very unique. He starts by coming out of your wall at 4 AM. Whenever you flip up your camera, he moves out of the wall even more. This limits your camera usage. I guess this kind of combats the fact that your camera doesn't even drain any power, so your cameras are more helpful, but at certain points it can kind of just be annoying. The Beaver just acts like Foxy from the original Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except it has a funny visual gag where he slowly runs out of toilet paper, and when he's completely empty he charges at your office. And last but not least, Golden Flumpty acts like Golden Freddy from Fnaf 1. You kinda just need to flip up your camera when you see him in your office. The way the game is made, it doesn't tell you how to deal with each character. This means, unless someone told you otherwise, you'll need to figure out what each character does on your own. There are some issues with this game though. The game does use the normal Five Nights at Freddy's 1 system, so you only really need to worry about 2 doors. On the topic of doors, the game doesn't even have any windows for your doors. This is kinda like what Five Nights at Candy's did. This forces you to use cameras to check if a character has left your door. But, in return, Grunkfus the Clown will come out faster. But those are my only complaints. The game is just really enjoyable and I urge anyone who hasn't played it to play it. But, does the game still hold up? Yes, it's seriously one of the best fan projects I've ever seen. Now, I want to look at a fan game that's more confusing than anything else. The next game we'll be looking at is Five Nights at the Krusty Krab. Out of all the 3 games I've played in this video, this is the only game based on a real property, and these games can really be a hit or miss. Anyways, Five Nights at the Krusty Krab is a fan game that I saw tons of videos about, but I actually never played it. And then when I was trying to think of a final game to play, one of my friends suggested that I play Five Nights at the Krusty Krab. And so, I decided to check it out and see what all the hype was about. And even while I'm making this video, I still have no idea what the fuck I just played. This game leaves you with more questions than answers, and that's kind of what I like about it. It isn't as good as the 2 previous games I had looked at, but is still an enjoyable experience. Let me explain why. The game mixes Fnaf 1 and Fnaf 2 gameplay together. You have 2 doors on your left and right, but in front of you, you can see a giant window. This giant window acts as a hallway from Fnaf 2. I do think these 2 gimmicks blend well together. Anyways, enough positive stuff. Time to be mean and negative. In your office, you move way too slow. It's like you broke your neck and the doctor said, "Hey bud, don't be moving that there neck of yours." And the character took that way too seriously. Next thing I want to talk about is the addition of a weird camera door. When you flip up your camera, there's a certain cam that has door controls. If you let one of the animatronics into that room, it's basically an instant game over. Speaking of animatronics, they look more goofy than scary. The worst offender of this is Squidward. He has long proportions that don't look scary at all. I should probably explain the gimmicks of each animatronic. SpongeBob and Patrick act like Bonnie and Chica from the original Fnaf. They kinda just follow a set path to your door. Squidward acts like Foxy from Fnaf 2. He appears in the front window and will attack you if you don't check on him. Sandy Cheeks acts like Bonnie and Chica, except if you let her to your door, she'll just stay there all night, even if you have the door closed. To stop that from happening, you'll have to use that strange camera door. Finally, Mr. Krabs acts like Freddy from the original Fnaf. He'll never appear at the door, but will still kill you if you screw up. Even with that being said, does this game still hold up? Not really. It suffers from some flaws that bring it down a lot, but I still urge you guys to at least check it out. Aside from those complaints, I believe this game is one of the classics, but that's just from my point of view. There are other games that I played back in the day, but these 3 games are definitely the ones I remember the most. In the end, these games were only made by people who enjoyed a game series enough that they made a game for that series. I kind of like a love letter for the franchise. So these games aren't meant to be the greatest, but with all that being said, it seems that I covered every game that I wanted to talk about in this video. In the future, I do want to step away from talking about Fnaf fan games and talk about something else. So for my next video, I have something else planned. But with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.